Have you ever tried to eat a clock?
To eat a clock?
Yeah.
No.
I've heard it's very time consuming, especially when you go back for seconds.
Oh my gosh.
Ha, ha.
That's too good, Miles. You
Also-
have outdone yourself.
Also, I have a great knock knock joke for you,
Okay, let's hear it.
but you have to start it.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
I don't know. Is that
That's the joke.
Oh.
That one's really stupid, but it makes me laugh every time. So, two fish are in a tank. One turns to the other and says,
How do you drive this
How
thing?
do you drive this thing?
But
Dang it, you ruined it.
No, I knew that one. I didn't ruin it. I just enhanced it.
What did one lawyer say to the other lawyer?
What?
We are both lawyers.
There are two muffins in an oven. One turns to the other and says, Man, it's getting hot in here. The other one says, Ah, a talking muffin.
You're a dog. Well, hey, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Great. Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Damily. We get all your hot
Damily.
goss and spilt tea. I don't know the phrases. I don't know.
Careful, Miles. Your millennial is showing.
My millennial. But yeah, just where we talk about cool stories and stuff.
Yeah, and stuff. And
Emphasis
stuff.
on the stuff. Since Kourtney said it 2 times. But yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh, you know, another day. I passed my test today.
Yeah, yay. Congratulations. I knew you would.
Thanks.
And I know everything.
Well, you
so.
thought you knew that I would.
Well, no.
You had hope that I would.
Miles, I'm
You wanted
psychic.
to just believe in me.
I have the gift.
Okay.
The Sean Spencer.
Am I going to pass my next exam next week?
Yes.
We'll see. This one's apparently harder than the last one, so we'll find out.
You've got this.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I am proud of you, though.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I went to go tell my teacher today, and I walked down. I approached his office, and his door was wide open, so he saw me coming. And I walk in, he's like, I see that smile on your face. I'm like, yep, just took a test, and I passed. He's like, awesome. And then I handed him my papers, my results, and he's like, wow, that's a really good score. I'm like, is it? It kind of feels like I barely passed, but at the same time, the lowest passing, I mean, the threshold for passing is 75 or higher. 75% or higher.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like, I guess it was a good score, but I mean, probably barely like a B.
Hey, passing is passing.
Passing is passing.
And you know what I like to say? C's and D's get degrees. So even if you didn't pass.
Oh. For a second, I thought you were like saying season D's get degrees. I'm like, what are these that I'm seasoning? That's what I heard at
I was
first.
like, wait, that is what I said.
Yeah,
No,
but
no.
I heard it differently. Like, it is what you said, but like, anyway.
No, I get you. See, this is why we go to school, to make us smarter.
Or make us realize how dumb we are.
Well, do you have any other news before we get started?
I don't think so.
How about
It's
that?
Christmas time
Oh, yeah,
season. How about that? What?
that listener story that we put out.
What about it?
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Yeah. just
Thanks
like
again to the Reddit users who didn't know that they were contributing to us. But
I just like to live in the past a little bit, you
Yeah.
know. Do we have any more states?
no, I just checked. Not yet.
What about the ones that we filled in that we didn't tell people about? Like
Which one?
Oregon?
Well, Oregon we already had. I think we just forgot to put a pin in it.
Oh, awkward.
Yeah.
South Dakota.
South Dakota, I think we mentioned.
Indiana was new.
Yeah, we didn't mention Indiana. We have one in Arizona. I don't think we mentioned that one.
Arizona.
We still need to
Wait,
put a
we
pin in that.
do?
Yeah.
Like officially?
Not on the website, but
Oh,
my guess is because you know how we have some in Montana.
yeah.
My guess is I don't know entirely, but like
Are
maybe
you
some
about
people
to
have.
ruin this for me?
We have lots of listeners in Montana.
Okay, what were you actually gonna say?
I was gonna say that a lot of I don't know if a lot of the time, but sometimes location services like can just go to whatever state you're closer to. So
Well,
like maybe we don't have any listeners in Montana. I mean, it would make
We're
sense because
still-
we're still pretty far away from
Yeah.
Montana.
And plus, we have 1 million listeners in Montana, so they're
But-
our biggest fan club.
Yeah, but VPNs are also a thing which can
Change your location.
change your location.
Montana, I know that you're there. And I know you're listening.
Yeah.
And I will always love you for it. All right, you ready for a story?
Did you know Montana means mountain?
Does it?
I don't know. Probably.
Did you just make that up?
I don't know. Probably.
Did
I
you
don't
know-
think so.
Did you know miles means kilometers?
No, it doesn't. You're cute.
I was trying to come up with something that wasn't like totally mean.
What was mean that came to your mind?
Did you know Miles is stupid? But
Oh.
that would have been.
Oh,
Hey, I love you.
thanks.
I love you. This is how I flirt. Period? Question mark.
Is it? That's how I flirt.
All right, so let's get into it. So this is the story of a lady named Nancy.
I don't know. Okay.
Why do you do that?
I don't know.
Okay,
It's fun.
so late August of 1912
Whoa.
in Roseneath, Wellington, New Zealand, Nancy Grace Augusta Wake was born. She was the youngest of 6 children. She was Maori, which is an indigenous Polynesian group of people from mainland New Zealand on her great-grandmother's side. Fun fact, her great-grandmother was reportedly the first Maori person to marry a European,
Nice.
marry
Good for her.
outside of their tribe. So that was just a little tidbit. But when Nancy was 2, her family moved to North Sydney, Australia.
Boo. I'm just kidding.
Um,
Just kidding.
Their father, Charles, ended up leaving them and returning to New Zealand, and their mother, Ella, raised the 6 kids alone in Sydney.
Oh.
So Ella's
6
a
kids.
champ. Charles is a jerk. Moving on. While in Sydney, Nancy attended the North Sydney Household Arts Home Science School. However, at the age of 16, she ran away from home and worked as a nurse. She had $200, 200 euro that she inherited from her aunt, this was 1928. So in today's American currency, that would have been around $3,500. So
Okay.
yeah, a pretty good chunk of cash for a 16-year-old.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have that much money when I was 16.
Right. Yeah. Anyways, so she had this money that she inherited from her aunt, and so with it, she decided to move to New York, but then she immediately moved to London, which is where she trained herself as a journalist.
Wait, so she moved to New York but then didn't like it, so she moved to London?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know how long she was in New York. I just read that she went to New York and then to London. So maybe she was just on like a
I'm
little
just kidding again.
trip.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so in the 1930s, she was working in Paris, and later she worked for the Hearst newspaper as a European correspondent. She, at the time, witnessed the rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi movement. She, quote, saw roving Nazi gangs randomly beating Jewish men and women in the streets of Vienna, end quote.
Boo.
Thank you.
That time I mean it.
Yeah. Just so everyone knows, I am not prompting him to do that. There's no signs saying boo here. He's just a mind reader.
Holding up cue cards. Laugh now. Comment on this.
I guess you're not really a mind reader. You're just listening to the story
Yeah.
and inserting. Okay. So in 1937, when Nancy was 25, she met a wealthy French industrialist named Henry Edmond Fiocca.
Fiocca.
The two of them got married 2 years later.
Wait, he's Italian? Did you say that? Or did I make that up in my mind?
No, he's French.
Oh, he's French.
Did I say it wrong then?
No. I don't know.
Would it be pronounced Fiocca?
I don't know.
Okay, well,
I can't see it, nor do I speak French, so...
my dad speaks Italian, and so when I see the double C, I immediately think cha,
Yeah, me too.
Fiocca. So I'm just going to go with that. Sorry if I'm wrong. So the two of them got married 2 years later, and they settled in France. In my notes, I wrote French.
French? Like a mixture between French and France? France?
They
You don't know.
settled in France, which is where they were living when Germany invaded. So during this time, Nancy was working as an ambulance driver, fun fact.
Hmm.
And in 1940, France fell to the Germans, and Nancy decided to join the escape network of Captain Ian Garrow, which later became known as the Pat O'Leary Line. Have you ever heard of that?
Pat O'Leary line.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
I never had. At least I didn't remember, so no worries if not.
Okay.
So the Pat O'Leary Line was a resistance group in France that helped stranded or wounded Allied soldiers escape before being captured by Nazi soldiers.
Okay.
So they would provide, they would literally seek out men that were injured or stranded, and they would provide them with clothes, food, shelter, fake IDs, like anything they could to keep them safe and keep them hidden.
Yeah.
And then they would help them get out of the country and back to safety.
Keep it hidden. Keep it safe. You wouldn't know that reference.
No, I wouldn't.
It's from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah, I've never seen that.
Kourtney's never seen Lord of the Rings.
We don't need to get into
Let
it.
the record show that Kourtney is uncultured.
You know what?
I love you there.
It's so boring.
No, it's not.
I tried 3 times.
Try again.
And then there's a scene with spiders, and
There's a scene in Harry Potter with spiders, and you love Harry Potter.
I don't like that scene.
So, you still like Harry Potter?
Yeah. Anyways.
You don't have to like the scene with the big spiders, but you can like the show. Sorry, sidetracked.
I'm being forced against my will.
Not right now, but maybe later.
What, are you going to tie me down and force me to watch Lord of the Rings?
Maybe, I don't know. The extended version too.
We've only... Wait, what?
We'll watch
There's
it for
an
like
extended version?
9 straight hours.
Oh. That just gave me chills. I don't know why.
Because it's amazing.
No.
It was the good kind of chills. All right, continue. Sorry.
Let the record show this is against my will. Anyway, so blah, 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 blah. Pat O'Leary was the pseudonym for one of the leaders of the line. So that's pretty cool. I kind of figured because, if they're naming it after one person, the Nazis are going to, go find that person and kill them.
Unless it was a very bold and confident move on that person's part.
Yeah.
Come get me.
No, but this was definitely a pseudonym.
Cool. Good.
So this group, Pat O'Leary, they helped more than 600 Allied soldiers and airmen escape from France to Spain. And unfortunately, more than 100 volunteers, or helpers as they were called, mostly the French ones that were working for the Pat line, were arrested and imprisoned by German authorities. And when they were caught, they were imprisoned for the remainder of the war, or they were executed.
Oh.
So, but that was, I don't know, kind of like the price you pay with war.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody
That's
going
true.
into resistance, you kind of understand that your life is on the line.
Yeah.
You know?
It was kind of like your first story where you talked about
Johann.
Johann.
Mm-hmm.
And
The things they did for those kids.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. He knew the risks, but he still took them.
Yeah. I mean, it's super unfortunate, but
Mm-hmm.
if you compare, they helped save over 600 lives, I'm sure these men and women, they were completely willing to give their lives to help.
Yeah.
So,
Good for them.
yeah. Nancy knew that her life was at risk, but she actually kind of got a reputation for her ability to elude capture.
Nice.
So she was actually coined or given the nickname White Mouse by the Gestapo. The Gestapo was the official secret police of Nazi Germany.
Oh, cool.
So the undercover police that were watching.
So there were Nazis, but undercover.
Yes,
Is that right?
pretty much.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And they were police force rather than military.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, so they were watching her very closely, and it was very frustrating to a lot of them that she kept getting away with everything. So she said that she actually described some of her tactics. She said, quote, "A little powder and a little drink on the way, and I would pass their German post and wink and say, 'Do you want to search me?' God, I was a flirtatious bastard." Anyways, so she knew it. She was good at it. But they were watching her so close. They were intercepting her mail. They were listening in our phone calls. They were on this girl. So she just knew from the get-go that they wanted her gone.
Right.
So in 1942, there was an operation. It's called Operation Torch. It was a mission that was meant for the Allies to invade the French North Africa, basically to get it before the Germans do.
Yeah.
Um, it was kind of a compromise operation, and I'll tell you why in a second. But the objective was to secure victory in North Africa while allowing American forces the opportunity to fight against the Nazis, like with some distraction. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
The reason that it was a compromise, though, is because it left France kind of wide open,
Mm-hmm.
because they were moving people to Africa. And in consequence, Germany, they took over the remainder of France, or this part of France, which is where the, it was in, I don't know how to say it. It's like, I think it's Vichy, France, which is where the Pat O'Leary group was operating out of.
Mm-hmm.
And so they took over that. Even though their mission was successful, like, they kind of lost that in that sense, because they lost, like, their home ground.
Yeah.
So once the invasion happened in Vichy, the Germans and the Gestapo had pretty much unlimited access to the area, which of course makes it like that much more dangerous for Nancy.
Mm-hmm.
And so Nancy decided to flee, to evacuate, whatever.
I gotcha. Okay.
Leave France.
She was pretty elusive,
Yeah.
so she left.
Yeah.
Good for her. Okay.
So, yeah, so she left, but her husband unfortunately decided to stay behind.
Henry? That was his name? Henry. Okay.
Henry. Yep. So I'll get back to him in a second. In 1943, early 1943, Nancy was in the process of escaping. She was on a train heading out of the country, and then she and the rest of the trainload of people were stopped and arrested by the local police. The Pat O'Leary resistance was able to get Nancy released 4 days later, by telling the police department that Nancy was just a mistress that was trying to hide her infidelity from her husband. It wasn't true, but it was better than the truth.
Right.
And it got her out of jail, so that was good. After she left, her husband Henry, since he did stay behind, he was unfortunately captured, and he was tortured and executed by Gestapo in the search for, quote, the White Mouse, which is really sad. And what's even more sad is Nancy was completely unaware of her husband's death until after the war. And for
That's
the
so sad.
remainder of her life, she blamed herself for his death.
Because what year was that?
43.
So that's like 2 years she didn't know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because we ended at 45, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
late
45.
44/45.
Man, that'd be so rough. Like, not...
Mhm.
Could you... So, just picture yourself in her shoes, right?
Yeah.
Like, you leave me, I stay behind. You find out I'm dead 2 years later.
Because they were searching for...
Yeah. I mean, nowadays, like, we text every day anyway, so you'd be like, oh, he didn't text me today, he must be dead. But...
When you don't text me for a few hours, I assume that.
Yeah.
Or you've left me for
But, like, imagine two
an
whole
Italian
years...
mistress. Just kidding.
No. No, 2 whole years without, like, talking to each other.
Yeah. That would be really hard.
Yeah.
I don't know why he didn't go with her. Like...
Maybe he felt like he could be of use staying behind, or maybe just trying to prevent her from getting captured in a way. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Because, like...
Because I would do that for you.
You would stay behind?
Yeah, I would make sure that you weren't captured.
Oh,
If it meant sacrificing myself.
thanks, honey.
You're welcome.
That's so kind of you.
But then I might rat you out later. I'm just kidding. Love you.
You might what?
Rat you out later.
Oh, that is not what I heard. What I heard was not PG.
Bleep. I'm just kidding.
Anyways, moving on. Okay, yada, yada, yada. So she ended up making it to Spain and then later got to Britain. When she was in Britain, she joined the Special Operative Executives. Special Operatives Executive, the SEO, which is like the England version of the CIA.
Mm-hmm.
Where she was trained in several different programs. And she had a really good reputation there. The senior female agent in the SEO described Nancy as, quote, a real Australian bombshell.
But she was from New Zealand.
But she was raised in Australia.
But she was born in New Zealand. Okay, whatever. It's fine.
Remove the pride.
No, never. No, it's fine. I'm just kidding.
They said that she had tremendous vitality, flashing eyes, everything she did well. Training reports record that she was, quote, a very good and fast shot and possessed excellent field craft. She was noted to, quote, put the men to shame by her cheerful spirit and strength of character. So, AKA, she was the whole package. She was a bombshell. She was the main character.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Girl power.
Yeah, I was watching Schitt's Creek the other night, and David had a shirt on that said, like, radical feminist or something like that, and it made me laugh.
David did?
Yeah.
Ew, David.
Radical feminist, or whatever it was.
That's funny.
Okay, so in April of 1944, she was sent back to France as part of a 3-person freelance group. And this part is actually so funny. So when they got to France, they actually parachuted down, and Nancy got stuck in a tree.
Oh.
And so one of the leaders of the resistance, his name was Henry Tardivat, he found her tangled in the tree, and he made some, like, stupid comment about how he wished all of the trees had such beautiful fruit. And she
Oh, silver-tongued devil, you. Oh, Henry. Stop.
While she was up in the tree, she replied, "Don't give me that French crap." Bleep.
Oh, I mean, swearing in Australia is just it's basically their national language. So.
But they're in France.
Yeah, but she's
and
Australian.
She was born in New Zealand.
Yeah. So you get it.
I just thought that was so funny. She's like, don't. Okay, so the group was helping with the communication between London and the local Marquis, which were like the noblemen of the area.
Okay.
People of high ranking, things like that, that were kind of helping with the resistance, but also like the politics in general.
Okay.
So So they helped with getting supplies to the Marquis and to the resistance group. So the London operatives / SEO would send supplies and money down by parachute, and Nancy and the other 2 freelancers would pinpoint the location of where the parachutes fell and then go and collect the items and then disperse it accordingly.
Okay.
And that was their main job. But so about a month later,
that sounds pretty fun.
It sounds pretty, like, I don't know. I just feel like it's a really good job to have.
Yeah.
Like, it's very important.
Yeah, very wholesome.
And also, like, you're busy, you know?
Yes.
Because a lot of this is, like, hiding and waiting. And that actually led to kind of a catastrophe a month later, that exact point that I was making. So in May of 1944, the leader of the Marquis, his name was Emily Colladon, he kind of lost patience and decided that he didn't need any help from London or anyone else. So he gathered about 7,000 men from the resistance and the Marquis. Did I say that right? Marquis.
Monkeys?
Marquis.
I'm just kidding. I know what you mean.
Oh, you're just making fun of me.
I'm making fun of you, as per usual.
So he gathered about 7,000 men from the resistance and the Marquis to go and liberate different areas from the Germans using their own forces.
Oh, fun.
However, the Germans didn't like that, and they retaliated by attacking them and then attacking them again with the larger attack.
Okay.
Yeah, so they hit them twice. They surrounded them, and they were forced to surrender and flee after having significant casualties, unfortunately. So Nancy and the 2 freelancers, they fled with the group of the resistance members, and they went about 91 miles or 150 kilometers west, and the journey took about 3 days, and they landed in a small village called Saint Santin. So one of the men from the freelance group, he left behind his radio and his codes, and that was their only way of contacting London.
Oh, no.
So Nancy borrowed a bike and rode it to the nearest SEO radio, which was roughly 155 miles away, or
Wow.
250 kilometers.
She must have been pretty fit, too.
I'm sure. I mean, she was doing a lot of things that would require physical fitness.
Like biking 155 miles.
Yeah. She got the radio, and she called London, filled them in what was going on, and then she biked all the way back to Saint Santin. That basically meant that in 72 hours, she made a round trip of 310 miles or 500 kilometers on bike. And she was not spotted by a single German.
I can barely do that in a car.
72 hours.
I mean, I'm joking because like it's easy to travel that distance now in a car,
But on a bike.
but on a bike, because that's physical exertion. You're not just sitting there with your foot on a pedal,
Right.
or if you have cruise control, not even your foot on a pedal. But
Yeah. That it does not sound fun.
no, like how did she sleep?
And why did she have to do it? Like, why couldn't
Because
have one of the men have done it?
to show them that women can do just as much as men can. She was
Or more.
she was a feminist in the 1940s.
She was a radical feminist.
Radical feminist.
David would be proud.
That's where David got his inspiration for that shirt.
Oh, for sure.
From Nancy.
Yeah. So after Nancy's bike ride, she and the other freelance members went back to join the members of the resistance group that did not join the Maquis members. So they were not part of that invasion. This group was led by Henry Tardivat, so that was the man that found her tangled in a tree.
Like I wish every tree would
Bear such beautiful
bear
fruit.
such beautiful fruit. Oh, Henry. Am I blushing? No, I'm just kidding.
So they were joined there by a 19-year-old American airman named Roger, and then later 2 more Americans, John and Reeve, joined them as instructors. This is a fun little tidbit. Neither John or Reeve spoke very good French, and Reeve was basically blind without his glasses, so they were kind of like dorky. However, the resistance members were very impressed by their tailored military uniforms, and I guess they were pretty decent instructors, so
The French would be.
they were deemed useful.
Because of their fashion.
Yeah. And their ability to be good teachers, good instructors.
And their fashion.
But mostly their fashion.
Wow, look at your uniform. You're going to be useful. Oh, French people.
Nancy's main job at this time was the same as it was before, is continue to help disperse the supplies where they needed to go, but she also helped with a few smaller invasions and helped defend their camp from attacks from the Germans. Nancy aided in a raid that actually destroyed the headquarters of the Gestapo and killed 38 Germans. I don't really have much details on that other than that.
Okay.
At one point, though, this is a very interesting story, and it's a little disturbing. At one point, Nancy found out that some of the Maquis had 3 girls that they were mistreating and using as prostitutes. So she managed to convince the Maquis to let the girls go. Nancy helped these girls. She fed them, bathed them, sent them on their way, 2 of them. But one of them, she kind of had like a little suspicion about, and she assumed that she was a German spy. So Nancy interrogated and exposed the girl. And after she exposed her, she ordered some of the resistance to execute her. And the resistance were like, we don't want to do that. And she's like, fine, I'll do it myself. And they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, we can do it. We just need to make sure this is legit. And so the girl just stripped down completely naked and then just like spread eagle. And then they shot her.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. So I think the part where she like stripped naked was her way of saying like, yes, you got me in a way, but like you can't take my pride.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. So essentially they believe she actually was a German spy, and so in order to keep themselves safe they had to kill her. In an interview later, Nancy basically said that she has 0 regrets for that execution.
Okay.
Like even years later she's like, no, that was the right thing to do.
Okay.
Nancy also said that she killed an SS sentry with her bare hands to prevent him from raising the alarm during a raid.
Nancy herself did?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So during a 1990s television interview, she was asked what happened to the sentry that spotted her, and she simply drew her finger across her throat, like, and then she said they taught this judo chop stuff with the flat of the hand at the SOE. Have I been saying SEO this whole time?
Yeah.
Oh, it's SOE.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
What does it stand for? Because I feel like the O would stand for organization or something.
Special Operatives Executive. So it is SOE. Sorry.
Cool.
I'm real smart. So they taught this judo chop stuff with the flat of the hand of the SOE, and I practiced away at it. But this was the only time I used it. Whack! And killed him all right. I was really surprised. End quote.
She seems like the kind of girl you'd want to hang out with and like be on a good side, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to make her mad because then
No.
she'll go whack.
Judo chop.
In August of 44, the American forces invaded southern France and essentially freed it from Germany. At this point, Henry Tardivant was severely injured. He survived but had to have one of his legs amputated.
Oof, rough.
During the victory celebration, that is where Nancy learned that her husband had been killed. And then mid-September, she and other members of the freelance team returned to Britain since their job was complete. After the war, she worked for the intelligence department at the British Air Ministry attached to the embassies in Paris and Prague. She was awarded the George Medal.
The George Medal.
Mm-hmm.
Was it named after George?
I'll tell you.
I'm just kidding. You don't have to go into it, but
The George Medal. The George Medal, instituted on September 24th, 1940 by King George VI. It is a decoration of the United Kingdom and Commonwealth awarded for gallantry, typically by civilians or in circumstances where military honors are not appropriate.
I see. Okay.
Anywho. So she was awarded the George Medal and the United States Medal of Freedom, and then the Medal de la Resistance. And
what does that mean?
I don't know. And then thrice the Croix de Guion. I don't speak French.
Why not?
So
Oui, oui, croissant, baguette, Eiffel Tower.
okay, in 1949, Nancy was a Liberal candidate for the Australian federal election. She lost, but she did swing 13% of the votes, so that's pretty cool.
Heck yeah, she did. I'd vote for her.
She left. Would you?
Bro, I don't know. I don't know who the candidates are, but maybe. She seems pretty cool.
She left Australia in 1951 and moved back to England, where she worked as an intelligence officer in the Department of the Assistant Chief of the Air Staff at the Air Ministry in Whitehall. Don't know anything about that, but it sounds official and cool.
Yeah.
She resigned in 1957 after marrying an officer named John Forward. In December of that year, they relocated back to Australia in the early 60s, and in 1966 she ran in the federal election for the Sydney seat of Kingsford Smith, and she lost that election too, but you know, she still had a pretty good view of politics, whatever. In 1985, so roughly 20 years later, she and her husband moved to New South Wales to retire, which is also around the time that she published her autobiography entitled The White Mouse. And then in 1997, her husband, John, passed away from old age. Nancy then sold all of her medals to bring in some money for herself, and she said, quote, "There's no point in keeping them. I'll probably go to hell and they'd melt it. They'd melt anyway."
That's a great outlook to have. All the good she did, and like, nah, I'm probably still gonna go to hell. It'll be fine. Like a chipper attitude about it too.
I like that quote though. They'll probably just melt anyway. In 2001, Nancy left Australia for the last time and immigrated to London. She became a resident at the Stafford Hotel in St. James Place near Piccadilly, which was formerly a British and American Forces club during the war. She had been introduced to her first, quote, bloody good drink by a general manager at the time named Louis Burdett. He also had worked for the resistance in the same town that she was in.
Nice.
During the war. So in the mornings, while she was there, she would usually, people would find her at the hotel bar first thing in the morning, sipping her gin and tonic.
Right.
And telling war stories early in the morning. She was welcomed to the hotel, celebrating her 90th birthday there. The hotel owners absorbed most of the costs for her stay. And in 2003, she chose to move to the Royal Star and Garter Home for disabled ex-service men and women in Richmond, London, where she remained until her death. So she died on August 7th, 2011, at the age of 98. She was only a few weeks shy of her 99th birthday.
Oh, so close to 100.
She died actually from a chest infection.
Oh.
Interesting. She had requested that her ashes be scattered at Mont Luçon in central France. Her ashes were scattered pretty close by in a place that I cannot pronounce.
Okay.
In 2013.
Because, French words.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Her obituary was included in and inspired the title for The Socialite Who Killed a Nazi with Her Bare Hands, and 144 other fascinating people who died this year, a collection of New York Times obituaries published in 2012. Wake was appointed the Chevalier, or Knight of the Legion of Honor, in 1970 and was promoted to Officer of the Legion of Honor in 1988. Shortly after the war, she was recommended for decorations in Australia, but was turned down. Decades later, Australia offered to award her medals, but she refused, saying, quote, "The last time there was a suggestion of that, I told the government they could stick their medals where the monkey suck his nuts."
Okay.
The thing is,
I love that.
the thing is, if they gave me a medal now, it wouldn't be love. So I don't want anything from them. End quote.
I like that, though. Like, she's not in it for the glory.
Yeah.
Because, like, medals like that are, like, supposed to be very high honors.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, no, I don't want that crap.
Well, and they wouldn't give it to her before.
Yeah.
When it was necessary. And so they're doing it decades later, and she's like, no. Go away.
Yeah. Good for her.
So let's see. I'm almost done. So it was not until February 2004 that Nancy was made a Companion of the Order of Australia. In April 2006, she was awarded the Royal New Zealand Returned in Services Association's highest honor, which is the RSA Badge of Gold, or Badge in Gold. Nancy's medals are on display in the Second World War Gallery at the Australian War Memorial in Canberra. And then in June of 2010, a heritage pylon paying tribute to Nancy was unveiled in Wellington, New Zealand, near the place of her birth. And last but not least, a minor planet was named after her.
Aww.
And that, my dear husband, is the story of Nancy Wake, aka the White Mouse.
The White Mouse. That's cool.
Yeah, pretty cool story, huh?
Yeah, she's a dope lady.
She's hilarious. And very brave. Very brave.
Very brave. All that crap that she went through. And I just picture her just with like a very, I don't want to say nonchalant attitude, because like the time she was living in were pretty drastic.
Yeah, for sure.
But like, I picture her just going through it just very optimistic and very like, I don't know, light about it,
And not putting up with people's crap.
Yeah.
Like Henry.
Yeah.
The fruit.
Oh, Henry. Andiamo, fratello, non mangiati tutti I fognons.
Oh, you speak French?
It's Italian.
It's Marshall.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Can you say it again?
Probably not.
Can you try?
I don't think I even said it the first time. Andiamo, fratello, non mangiati tutti I fognons.
Wasn't there like a Bogart in there at some point?
Huh?
Never mind.
No, that's the English translation. It means, come on, bro. Don't Bogart all the funyuns. That is Himium. Did you know Harper was named after a character in that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually not listening to you and just looking. I was looking at my Facebook, and I put a story up where I called Harper, Harper Lillian.
Yeah.
And one of my coworkers, whose name is Liliana, shout out to her if she ever listens to this. But she commented and she's like, "Oh, what a beautiful name." Like, why? Because it's the same as yours. No, but I think it is beautiful. Thank you guys so much for listening and tuning in. This is episode 16.
Killing it.
If our podcast were a person, they could legally drive.
Huh? What did you just say? Sorry.
If our podcast were a person, they could legally drive.
Yeah, with a permit and an adult.
If you guys have any stories that you would like for us to share at our next listeners episode, which will be January 1st, send it to our email, famdamilypodcast@gmail.com.
That's going to be the first of the year.
Woohoo!
2023. You know how people, like the last couple of years, people have been like, started in 2020. 2020 is going to be my year. And then COVID hit. And then 2021 felt like it didn't even happen.
It's going to be better.
And then 2022, it's like, oh, we're going to come back from this. we're gonna
Didn't.
improve. 2023, it's gonna be like, I don't know. At this point, I feel like it's kind of for false hope, but what do I know?
How about this? How about nobody say anything?
Yeah, just
We all
everyone shut up.
We just pretend that
kidding.
it's not the new year.
And before you criticize, and before you criticize someone, you should walk a mile in their shoes. That way, when you criticize them, you are a mile away from them, and you have their shoes.
Thank you for those wonderful words of wisdom.
You are
Myles.
very welcome.
All right, have a good night, everyone.
That's not an original, by the way. That's from a guy named Jack Handy. But
Oh.
yeah, I wish it was original, but I'm not that original. Anyway, yeah. Good night.
Mwah.